She looked in the mirror, only saw her own reflection. Never truly saw me, it was her addiction. Caught in a web of lies, couldn't break free. Trapped in a world where she was the key. Narcissistic love, a dangerous game. Drowning in her self-obsession, losing my own identity. Trying to love someone who only loves themselves endlessly. Her ego soars high while my self-worth diminishes. In the arms of a narcissist, love feels like a business. Carefully crafted, manipulation at its best. In her eyes, I was just a pawn in a quest. Gaslighting my emotions, making me doubt. In a narcissistic world, I was always left out. Lost in her illusions, blinded by her charm.
I'm Amelia Angelica.
I'm Ryan Allen.
And we are Transparency.Love.Platform, and we are Transparency Podcast.
And this is Todd.
Hi, I'm Todd Wright.
He's our guest today. Thank you so much for letting us come into your home, Todd. And I'm going to be kind of asking you a few questions, and you can feel free to be as verbose as you'd like. Within reason. If it gets to over a half hour, we might have problems. But
that's one question.
I still haven't asked you. Oh, you mean that's the answer?
You gave me permission to be verbose.
Okay, I did. I did give you
Discrepancy. Discrepancy.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so first off, tell us a little bit about yourself, just brief.
So, hi, I'm Todd Ryan. I'm a single dad. I have 4 kids. I filed for separation after some domestic violence issues. The first was on me in 2017, and the second instance was on my daughter, who was 4 years old at the time, in 2019. So I stayed that 2-year period and tried to save my marriage, which was important to me because I made a commitment. I made something that I wanted to try and value.
Right.
But 2019, the writing was clearly on the wall, and there's no more. And so I took the out and filed for divorce. It was a 3-year fight.
Right.
A bitter, angry, painful 3-year fight. At which point, finally we finalized in 2022, and then I began dating.
How has that looked in post-divorce life?
I've decided I'm going to write a book. And I've decided the title for my book is going to be So I Shaved My Neck Hair for This.
Good title.
A guide to dating in your 40s. Pending. That's still a work in progress. That's how it's going.
How did it start? Let's not talk about how it's going now, but how did dating after your divorce start?
There's some complicated concepts in here. I had no idea what I was doing. I dated a few times in my 20s, and they had varying degrees of success. In my mind, during because I was 3 years completely alone, I decided not to date during the divorce, and that's a personal level of commitment to me and my belief system. And so that was all through the COVID era. So I was dad, I was bishop, I was teacher, I was best friend, I was playmate, I was maid, I was food service, I was cook, I was chef, I was kitty cleaning expert, and everything else. So that was kind of rough through that alone period. But when I first started dating, my idea was I'm going to get really good with my Traeger barbecue. And I am going to just open up my Traeger barbecue, and I'm going to host dating nights and murder mystery nights and provide brisket and ribs. It's going to be a blast. And the ladies will be just completely wooed with my amazing smoked meat.
Mm-hmm.
And that
We knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I meant.
This is my favorite painting, by the way.
It's a good painting.
Because
food is a
I
love
definitely
language.
feel like I'm drowning. What was that?
Food is a love language. And food is my love
Barbecue,
language. Yes.
especially.
And so, if someone feeds me or cooks for me or something like that, that is something I really enjoy because it's food to the soul.
And I'm familiar with the 5 love languages. So for me, especially, I like to cook with somebody too. That even makes it even better because that covers a couple extra love languages. But it's a gift. It's an act of service. When you do it with somebody, it's that quality time. And I don't even care if you like my food because I'm getting all of these aspects of I'm able to show you, whoever you are, love and care as an individual. All you have to do is stand and tell me whether you enjoy it or not, and I don't even mind if you don't. So it hits so many of those. And if you're there cooking with me,
that I did not enjoy, so I mean, of yours. Anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've had lots of things I didn't enjoy, but not of yours.
Those love languages are so important, and understanding what those wants and what those needs are, so that other people can, can learn those qualities about you. And then also, usually, if we don't feel loved, or we aren't loved, or we don't feel loved, or we don't feel like we've got purpose, or we don't feel like we have something to look forward to, that's also where mental health wise, that is where that we could struggle through difficult things like divorce, relationships, getting yourself out there again.
There's a hierarchy of needs that we all have. I've noticed that love languages shift as well as you go through that process. So for example, a lot of my guy friends like physical touch, but also a lot of guys suffer from kind of a female abstinence. So physical touch often isn't just the act of consummating love, but often it's a hug or holding hands, or like I talked about, putting my hand in her back pocket and she puts her hand in my back pocket, and it's just a little bit of communicating that I accept you. And love languages have interesting different tiers too, by the way. I've got a whole thought process about love languages.
Yeah.
Physical touch requires consent. So I just can't start touching, your face and be like, so because I just pet my cat.
Yes, do not touch my face.
And it requires consent from you to use physical touch. And all the different love languages have a different quirk. For example, often people, when you use words of affirmation, there are people who don't know how to take compliments, and they kind of get embarrassed, and there's a trust and belief issue that happens with words of affirmation. But here's also another aspect that I wanted to really talk about when you mentioned love languages, and I'm sorry, conversations will branch all over the place.
Tangents. It's all right.
Lots of tangents. I'm grateful to my ex for teaching this to me, because I didn't understand in the course of our marriage, and it's helped me become a better person and a better spouse, better partner. I have a love language that I'm dying to show, right? Whether that's physical touch, I want to grab you by your shoulder and be like, Ryan, you're important to me and I want you to know it. And that I'm communicating that word, my words of affirmation, by backing up with my desire to do physical touch.
Right.
But there's love languages that we want to receive. And they're different. They're not always the same. So I want quality time. I want people to spend time with me. When you honestly and truly love somebody, you need to love them in the way they want to be loved, not the way that you want to show them love. You can't force your love on them.
Yeah.
And I've got a good friend of mine that does that very strongly, and it's you never feel loved by her, but she feels like she's loving you at the same time.
Yeah.
And I greatly appreciate her.
To show intimacy.
Yeah.
There are so many ways. It doesn't have to just be physical. It can be mental. It can be spiritual. It can be a lot of those things. And so building that rapport and trust with your partners is so important.
Yeah.
So important.
And just kind of finishing off that thought, part of that is loving them enough to love them in the language that they want to be loved in. The quintessential example for that for me was I hate buying cut flowers because I'm like, okay, here's this thing that's going to die. Well, my spouse at the time wanted to receive cut flowers, and I would be buying plants. I'd be buying tulips and flowers that'll bloom. And she sees it, oh, here's this obligation you have to care of for the next month. So I'm thinking, oh, our love will last longer than this dying thing. And she's like, just buy me cut flowers. And it took her a while to have that conversation with me. But that's a good example of loving in the way somebody else wants to be loved instead of the way you want to show them love.
To kind of segue into something there. So it sounds like communication is kind of key in order to know each other's love languages. Obviously, it's not something that you're going to bring up on the first date. You're not going to be like, so what's your love language? Or something to that effect. Typically, I would imagine. But how would you go about having a conversation about your love languages, or trying to find out what a partner or potential partner's love language is?
I'm going to translate part of communication into showing vulnerability. An adult relationship in your 40s, we have different relationships, different types of relationships than I did with my 20s. I'm an adult. I make adult decisions. I make adult mistakes, but that's not where I'm going with this. But vulnerability is an extremely powerful communication device. And it's a risk. And it's one of the more difficult things because we've all had tough relationships. We've all come here and arrived in our 40s in some type of hard, painful instance that's brought us here. Let me get my cat hair off. One thing I like about the relationship I'm in right now is she, out of the gate, not only communicated and said, look, I have these problems in my life, and I want to let you know them, because I like you. I want this date to go somewhere. I want this relationship to go here. Here is my red flags. Here's my problems. And so with proper vulnerability and with proper communication, it could be easily a first date thing, and maybe sometimes should. If you can find, you have to feel somebody out, and that gets to something else as part of communication. A lot of guys, because a lot of us, like I have 4 kids. I know how babies work. When we first start a relationship, I've noticed a lot of my guy friends want to jump straight in, and they want to talk about the physical touch aspects that their needs are being inquired because they're empty. They have this big physical need, and they're going to want to broach the topic of sex right away on a first date. Don't do that.
Yeah, that's not.
But talking about what needs are in a respectful way in a relationship, because men need to be respected and women need to be respected in return in an equal exchange. Saying, hey, I really like it when you hold my hand. And every once in a while, I need you to hold my hand, or give me a hug, or give me a look my way where you smile at me. Or if your love language is different, like I need to hear sometimes that I'm doing a good job. When I do the dishes, when I clean the house, if you told me thank you, that would mean a lot to me. And that's a good way to kind of broach that vulnerability, because you're talking about feelings. But you're doing it in such a way that you're not blasting somebody with sex, or something else that is important to you. That type of communication is absolutely crucial, and it needs to go throughout a marriage. But you have to be adult enough to risk your vulnerability out there. Because if you're not risking your vulnerability and saying, I need this, I feel this, then you're never going to get it, and you're never going to receive it. And if they turn you down, well, if they do so on the first date, guess what? You just saved so much time. So much time, so much effort, so much money.
Yeah. And I think that's what's kind of different about what we stand for and what this dating app that we'll be launching here soon. is focused around, again, those basic principles and spirituality and core values. But in a lot of the sites, because we've all been on different dating sites at some point, and a lot of them doesn't have kind of that structure, that guideline of what a healthy relationship looks like. And so we have criteria. You're going to have to be 21 and older. You're going to have to be able to pass a background check. You're not going to have be able to, if you have felonies or if you're a sex offender, those things, you will not be able to access the site. Also, if you're married, you also will not be able to use the site because we'll be able to detect that. And because, again, safety is a priority, especially when you are, allowing yourself to make these connections and have that vulnerability, and you're looking for something that is going to be long lasting. And so, again, another thing that is different is that you will be, depending on which level you're at, or plan,
Tier.
the tier, yes. You'll be able to, when you get to the gold tier, the top, you'll be able to really just connect with one individual at a time, focusing on the 12 steps that we have created around those basic fundamentals. And so,
Sounds interesting.
yes.
Yeah,
and
it
so
is.
when you guys learn about what those 12 steps are, I have done those 12 steps with a partner, and it did help us to become closer and understanding those wants and those needs for one another. But it's also, we want that site to not just be about the dating part of it. It's to help and support you on that journey with each other afterwards. And so there'll be a lot of resources and things that you'll be able to access as well. And you'll be able to work those 12 steps regardless. So that'll be open to everyone. And so that's kind of a little different than what dating sites, if we've been on at least, have been different, because there's no site out there like this one that has that these different things that make it different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your dating app experience.
Because I'm religious, I only used Mutual and Facebook. Mutual's a great little dating app in my experience for finding people of similar faith. But each dating app creates a different culture, and the cultures vary. Facebook, which I just kind of happened to be on because I'm on Facebook, and they just like, oh, you're single. Well, here you go. The culture seems to be a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more forgiving with the various different things that I find, and people that want to talk to me and I get to talk to them. Mutuals in my 40s is a little bit more restricted, and I've found an interesting way to use it. I don't use Mutual. Nobody I've ever swiped on is going to ever swipe back on me. And I've come to terms with that. Mutual, I have to use it from what I hear. Is it Hinge or something with a B, that Bumble or something?
Oh, Bumble.
Where women like you.
Yes,
And
I actually liked Bumble because it kind of gave us that ability to do that. It might make it difficult on men in that aspect, but I mean also, being on Bumble, there are stories and stuff, and
so many stories.
Yeah, so many stories, and so regardless what site I feel like you're on, there's going to be people that are on it for the right reasons, and there's going to be people who are not on it for the right reasons. And again, ours is, yes, if you're actively seeking somebody and you take the time, again, to work those steps, it'll take about 2.5 months if you are actively doing those steps to build that connection with each other.
Have you talked about this 12-step thing before on the podcast? Does
No.
your readers know? Because I have no idea what you're talking
No.
about.
Yes,
Not yet.
So we did a commercial in 2021. Amanda, who she and I came up with this dating app because we were tired of being on these sites and being like, oh, you know, like these are not none of these sites are working for us. And we were like, nobody's transparent. And I said, oh my goodness, we should start a dating app called Transparency.Love. And that's where the creation of this was centered and built. So, and then just like in grief, there's 12 steps to grief, there's 12 steps to divorce, there's 12 steps to marriage, there's 12 steps to recovery, there's 12 steps to everything. And so we created and built these 12 steps. So it's, you know, and we'll talk more about what those 12 steps look like and what they are. Yeah. And so in the future, yes, definitely in the future. But that's kind of what it's centered around as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's something that I've discovered in dating that's extremely critical, that's very difficult to translate into a dating app. We are all failures. And it's some of us are a little more overt than others.
Mm-hmm.
But making room in a relationship for your partner to fail is an incredibly attractive and powerful thing, because it's inevitable. They're going to, you know, whether it's they're going to leave their socks out, or one of my favorites when I was married was the hair shellacked in the shower. I'd be like asking, please, wash your hair down, or how that's going to work. We're all going to have quirks and things about us that our partners are not going to be the most pleased about. Whether it be my dishes, the state of my kitchen, or the makeup all over the place and the counter and everything like that my daughter is now discovering she can do. I would love if there were a way to help somebody know, hey, it's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to have these little failures, and make room for them in a relationship. Because that's like I said, there's adult concepts. When I was 20, you know, you pick your nose. What? Now it's like, oh, pick away.
Yeah, we're very different in our 20s. You know, because you were married young too, and I was married young too, and I know that I didn't know myself in my 20s. I don't think I truly knew myself till I was at least 30 or 32, you know, but I had already lived a lot of life experience in those times. But relationship wise, I don't think that, I feel like because of my experiences now, I know what I'm looking for.
Failure forces us to grow.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing about failures. Once you've accept, okay, I made these mistakes. There are things in my life that happened, and I'm okay. And they helped me become a little bit more about who I am. One of the things I think is very interesting, I like to use as a guide when I do go on it. Oh, so let me reverse. I believe in the concept of the zero date, because I'm meeting people online. And a zero date, I think I read an opinion article from the New York Times that introduced it. The very first date is always extremely simple and extremely level. I'm actually allergic to my cats, by the way, which is why I'm starting to like,
It's ironic.
I have daughters, and I love my daughters, and my ex really liked cats, and so I brought in a cat that I was allergic to. Sometimes love is about sacrifice. Sorry, tangent. The zero date is where I'm meeting somebody online and I have no idea who they are. And it doesn't matter how long I've been talking to them. 2 months, I still don't know them. I may know lots of facts about them, but I don't know who they are. So a zero date is, instead of taking to Lakai, which is an extremely important Utah restaurant in the area, one of the best, or like Chris Ruth. Yes, I could display my wealth and be very, 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 very impressive with my wealth. Instead of what I want to do is I want to get to know somebody. And so the best date is to go out and get hot chocolate or go to frozen yogurt and sit and talk. And that has been very productive on me. So you talked about how my dating life since I got divorced in 2022. I've been over 140 zero dates.
Dang.
Sometimes 2 to 3 a week. Sometimes.
Oh wow.
I've dated a lot of people to my benefit or my ill.
Yeah.
And I found some incredible people, but also I have stories.
Yes.
But the zero date kind of opens that up, and I set that expectation of like, look, I just want to get to know you. And when using mutual, like I use it, with them liking me, and then I start to open up a conversation with people that I like in return. That allows me to say, well, this person liked me already. They probably are okay going on a date. At least something that's very simple, doesn't take them very much effort, and is a safe public place for somebody else. Because as a man, I have to think about, do you feel safe in the place that we go? And then I can truly actually get to know them. And if it's very little cost, it's very little time, very little effort, then that zero date allows me to clear out, okay, this is somebody I want to take on a more involved date. Or this is somebody who I want to say, well, thank you very much, but maybe not. I'm interested in talking to you more, but this will take some more time to develop it. Because you never really get to know nobody on the zero date. Still, it's enough.
Right. Yeah. At least enough to know if you want to go on a first date, which is why they call it a zero date.
Yeah.
Now do you get it?
No, I do.
No, just kidding.
I totally think. Yeah.
It's the getting. You
I'm
have to get to
very
know
aware.
people.
Thank
I'm
you
kidding.
very
You
much.
know
And
it.
you know, it is about feeling like, you know, there's potential, and then feeling like it's a safe place, allowing you to build and connect with somebody and grow together. And again, that's why this site is like that, because starting out with those steps, it's like a virtual day. It's meet in a public place. It's, you know, do something out of your comfort zone, go for a drive, like basic things. But it can tell a lot about a person in those interactions that you're having with them, you know. Yeah. And that's why when you're like, oh yeah, well, sorry Todd, we didn't connect.
It's okay.
And you and I didn't connect. But that's when you'll unmatch from each other and stop working those 12 steps. And you'll be able to move on. But if you're really actively working them and you feel like there is a connection, you are wanting a relationship, you're wanting a future, you work through all those steps. And then the last one is 30 days of gratitude. So it's recognizing for 30 days in each of you those things and qualities that you like about one another that, you know, almost kind of forces you to have those difficult conversations while you're getting to know each other.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think that we've had a nice discussion today, and I appreciate your help and your willingness to bring us into your home and talk about some of these interesting and difficult topics.
So many stories we haven't even scratched the surface.
Oh, we have many stories ourselves that we could share as well.
We do.
Can I touch on one thing for me?
Of course you can.
Before we
Yeah.
end? We want to talk about narcissism a little bit. And narcissism
Yes, we do.
it's kind of a buzzword that I think gets thrown around in relationships. Almost because I'm involved in a lot of the Facebook sites of singles in the area, and I see this kind of battle between the sexes, and narcissism is the word. Oh, you're a narcissist. Oh, you're a narcissist. But there is narcissism that you have to look for, and that's something that I gauge on somebody's level of their divorce. And it's very apparent, and it happens very, very quickly. And so this is a gauge when I go onto that zero date. Listen to somebody talk about their ex is one of the biggest indicators of where they stand, and because divorce is a process, it's 12 steps, right? Yeah. And where they are and how they're going to treat you in that process. So if somebody sits in, it's inevitable that there's some negative things that are going to happen that we talk about with our exes. But how much we get to, and what level of hate for the opposite sex as a result of what you've been through, compared to the level of forgiveness that you can extend, tells me the maturity level that you'll have in a relationship. And that's critically important. And that part of growing. So when your ex does XYZ and they're going to do XYZ, all the time. It's going to drive you nuts. Being able to forgive them and work and co-parent, especially if you've got kids. Going to be like, okay, I've accepted where we are. I've accepted who I am. You've done X, Y, Z. It happened. I don't like it. It needs to be in the past. But let's move forward to the betterment of our kids' relationship. That is the huge indicator for me of where I know this relationship is going to go. So, for example, I dated somebody who, that's a whole story. That's, never mind. Well, if you have to come back.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you, and that's also kind of what is centered around those core values and basic principles in that age group for us, and having those kind of experiences. Of course, we're still working through those things, and there's trauma, and there's triggers and all that, but of course you don't want those things to enter into your new relationship. There are going to be things that you guys can work through together, so that we don't see continuous patterns and those behaviors coming into those
some of those red flags that just start coming up. And you're like, oh.
Yeah. While you're trying to build a healthy connection with somebody else. But again, like you were saying, it's accepting not just your partner from the past, but accepting partners now, accepting who they are, and the fact that they had the courage and the vulnerability to be honest, and
admit their mistakes.
Yep, honest, yeah.
And if a man comes to you and he blames his mother, he blames his sister, he blames his ex, and he blames, I think it's like an incel type thing, where he blames every woman in existence.
Yeah.
And then you're this woman in his existence, you're going to be like, okay, well, when are you going to start blaming me?
Right.
The reverse, of course, for a man. If she blames her dad, she blames her ex, she blames her brother, and she blames every man in existence. You're like, okay, well, it's only a matter of time before I become your target.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully, when you're ready to seek somebody that mentally, physically, and spiritually, and faith and all of that, that you're in the right place and the right timing for that, and that both partners coming together to make new connections are in that same place in their life and what they want.
Forgiving yourself is the first step to being able to forgive others. But both are equally critical to being able to have a successful relationship and show vulnerability and trust as you start building hopefully a beautiful thing.
Thank you so much, Todd,
Yeah,
for
thank
joining
you.
us today and sharing your story with us. And I think a lot of people will be able to connect with you, and also seeing what narcissistic can do and play in part of our lives, and also how we can see that moving on and moving forward, what a blessing it can be when you're surrounding yourself around the right people and making those connections.
Yes. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Drowning in her self-obsession.